customizers, welcome to the next project. There's a story behind this one and I'd like to share that story with you right now. This is the stinger that nobody wanted. It was in an auction on a Facebook page, and everybody loves the stinger, right? Something shows up on eBay or whatever and people just go nuts about it. Why? Because it's that Vamp Jeep shell, right? The stinger shell. It's iconic. It's G.I. Joe, it's Cobra, it's all of that. And nobody was bidding on it, and I couldn't reason why. And even though the guy had put the product description in the caption for it, like any good seller would, right? And he said, yeah, somebody had glued the turret, and the front bumper was broken. Nobody had it, and I was actually there at the end of the auction. I said, hey, did anybody bid on this thing? He said, no. I said, all right, well, I'll give you the starting bid for it. He's like, sure, no problem. So I got this for a steal. And when I got it and I looked at the physical damage here, I'll share this with you up close. So you can see there that the tip of the bumper here is broken off. It should have that shape to it, but it doesn't. And then you can see here, see that dark spot there? It looks like there was a stress mark there from bending or whatever, and then somebody put black marker over it to try and hide it at some point. It makes sense, right? And the turret, it's been centered, so it's not off to one side. It's not, it's whatever you want to call it, askew. And the elevation function works just fine. I mean, it's loose like it would be because it's vintage. Other than that, it's missing the steering wheel like most of Vamps and Stingers are. But all the other parts were there. I got all the missiles, I got all the doors, and the spiky front pokey bit was fine, and the platform at the back was fine, and nobody bought it. So anyways, here it is. It's now with me and now going to be with us. So let's get started on what we're going to talk about for this project. To all my subscribers, thank you very much. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to Talking Hands Customs. And this one is going to be a minimalist project. So the next phase of this story was I was getting this one ready to do Tiger Force. I was going to make a Tiger Force Stinger Mark II. And some opportunities presented themselves to try things for the first time and then show you how I did it to increase your repertoire of customizing skills. But when I took it apart, nothing broke, but I just sat there and I looked at it and I taped off the wheels, as you can see here. And all that was blue painter's tape basically wrapped around the wheel as I spun it, and then the big wide green tape, and then I cut a circle out like that. So, I'm going to mask the inside here. Well, I was going to, but now I don't have to. And most of my designs were going to be, and I'm still going to do them later, some other point in time. But when I went to go do this one, the idea made sense, but I couldn't execute. And it was like, okay, I got to paint all this black or all of this green or whatever color I needed for what, the 2 or 3 ideas I had. But I was just like, do I want to do it? And the answer at the end of the day was no, because they didn't say, okay, like what I find when I work on my projects is, let's say I come up with 3 or 4 ideas, all different teams or whatever, or different schemes. And I'll pick one, I'm like, yeah, that's it. And as soon as I start, I know it's right, it feels good, and I don't hesitate. This one I hesitated on. And I couldn't figure out why. The shovel thing here, I was going to actually grind that off and make sure it's sanded smooth, because as you can see there, it's not concave in there, so it's actually additional plastic, not shaped hollow plastic. If that makes sense. Basically, I could grind that down and there would still be plastic there underneath, so as long as I polished it up, it'd be fine. To make space for the tiger mouth. But I didn't want to do it. I think what bothered me about this was that it's a stinger that nobody loved, right? And I could just refurbish it and I would get some Toy Hack stickers for it. But then I was like, yeah, but you know what? Let's up it up a bit. Nobody wanted it as a stinger. So now I'm going to do something a little bit more with it. And what I decided to do was a minimalist approach. And that's actually going to feature in the series after this one. So what's a minimalist approach? It's when you only repaint a few parts and it becomes something totally new. Something totally new. And when I realized it and I thought about it and I planned it out in my head, it took, just a couple of minutes. And the more I thought about it, the faster the thoughts came, right? It was like, oh my God, I think this is it, this is it. And what I landed on was, what team is black and gray with a third color? Night Force, right? And the reason why I thought that is, some parts I couldn't disassemble. So the answer is, if I couldn't disassemble it for spraying, I would hand brush it and whatever. But the problems started adding up, and something just told me, not this time. And when I looked at all the parts here, I don't have to repaint this. It is more than close enough to that dark gray for night. I mean, it looks light on camera, but it's more than close enough to that dark gray for Night Force. I can leave it as is. I only have to repaint a few accessories, those ones being lined up right there, and we're good to go. I reassemble it, I get some stickers for it, and it's done. So, I have a couple of stickers left over from my previous Rattler Repros order of glow-in-the-dark Night Force stickers, and now I'll just have to place a new order. So I technically, I can repaint this right away, but I won't be able to put the decals on for a few weeks. So again, like other projects where there's a delay, I'll show you the finished product in a subsequent video series. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to turn this into a Night Force Stinger, which is also fun because then we got to make up a name for it, right? Because everything in Night Force wasn't called its original name. Like, it wasn't the Night Sky Striker, it was the Night Boomer, right? I have 2 custom Night Force vehicles, 3 actually. I have the Night Razor, which is my Night Force X30. I have the I kept it as the Night Wolf because it's the Cobra Wolf, but in Night Force colors. And then I have a VTOL, which I have yet to name, or if I did, I forget what it is. So anyway, they all have glow-in-the-dark stickers. So in this case, I'm not even going to repaint it. So what you can do, and the reason being is well, don't you want to match the other paint? But because it's just accessories, it'll work. And there's another way that it'll work too, which I don't want to spoil. We'll see that in the next series. But just by repainting a few small pieces and matching the sheen to this factory plastic, it'll work. It'll work, and I'm going to prove it to you. So first things first, we're going to disassemble the vehicle. Done. And I broke nothing in its disassembly. I was very careful with it. If you've never taken a Vamp apart before, basically you start at the back here because the tail lights are the tabs that lock in the upper hull part. You just rotate forward, and then there's a tab that hooks in behind. You can see the slot for it there. It hooks in behind there. Don't start there. That's where you finish. So you start here in the back and then rotate forward, and it'll come right out, no problem. Be careful with the hatches and doors and stuff. Just because it's 40-odd-year-old plastic, right? So you can see here some of the attachment points are very fine. And having said that, right, we've spoken about it. If something does break, it's not the end of the world. Especially after now you've seen, hopefully you've seen the scratch building, the intro to scratch building, is that you'll realize that you have the now power to repair parts like that. If you're going to paint it, you might as well repair clips and broken and missing parts if you so choose, right? So these hubcaps are going to be fluorescent orange because that will look fantastic. The front spiky bumper thing will be fluorescent orange. And this gas tank thing that sits on the hood will also be orange. I didn't even know that came off when I was pulling it apart. I was like, oh my god, there's clips back there, and there it is. And the missiles here, all 4 missiles are going to be orange as well. I think that will balance it out nicely. Now that I've got everything painted up orange and we're clear coated and good to go, we're going to work on fixing this fender here. What I've done is I've cut a piece that roughly matches this side here, and I've done a little bit of trimming and filling with super glue. And what I've even tried to do was, if you can see there in the glare, there's a line that goes all the way across. It's like a mold slip line. I could remove it off the whole piece, but it's actually thicker down here than it is up top. So I've tried to replicate that with super glue. We'll see how that turns out. And then, as you can see here, that color works rather nicely. Maybe another coat or so to cover up that black marker spot. But you can see the line there, the demarcation line, and that's because, well, at least I think it is, because this paint is very flat, whereas this has that plastic sheen to it. So I'm going to try and match that with a clear coat. And I think I have just the one in mind. I'm going to have to hand mix one because I'm out of semi-gloss and none of the stores in town have some. So there we go. And now that I'm doing Night Force, I ordered the stickers from Rattler Repros in Mexico there. So it'll be a while before they get up here, but you'll see what I mean when I do the final reveal, and I'll show you the wolf that I upgraded with this new orange mix I made. So yeah, there it is. So I'm going to keep working on that. It's nothing, I can't show you the finer bits on camera, but as you can see, it's actually the same thickness of styrene I used on my Dreadnought swamp boat there. And it's just a little bit of creativity there to try and blend it in. We'll see how it works out once I get the paint on and everything. So let's carry on with the next step. And presto changeo, we took a unwanted stinger and we added one color to it, and now you get the Night Force stinger. And there it is. There it is, right? We talked about how I got this vehicle. Nobody wanted it because it had a broken fender and the turret was stuck in the forward-facing position, which for display-wise works just perfectly. The turret itself still elevates, and all I did was add some I'll call it brilliant orange. I used to call it fluorescent orange, but I don't think that's entirely accurate. So brilliant orange to it, and it's still drying, but I repaired the fender. So now the fender is whole again. I took an unwanted stinger and made it Night Force. This color, like I showed you earlier, but I'll show you one more time. I used Citadel Air paints, Troll Slayer Orange and Evil Sun Scarlet. I love the names of these colors. They're technically made for airbrush, but I find that adding a little bit more thinner to them makes them go just that much better. They dry nice and flat, so I took some flat and gloss clear coat, mixed it well as much as I could, and made a semi-gloss coat for it. But the paint dries nice and flat. It's durable, certainly more durable than some other paints. And there's the end result. And I'm super happy with it. I mean, that's going to look fantastic on the display shelf. In fact, I was so happy with the orange color. What I did was I fixed up my Night Wolf. So there'll be a video tour coming up of my collection, but I wanted to show you the Night Wolf here. So these are the same stickers from Rattler Repros out of Mexico, which sounds like that avocado commercial. Rattler Repro from Mexico. Anyway, we're good. The stickers are fantastic. As a kid, I never had Night Force toys. I wasn't even aware of them because I wasn't allowed to go to Toys R Us. So there's something about Night Force I really like. Yeah, there's the black thing and all that kind of stuff. Like, it looks cool. But with the orange and the gray and the glow-in-the-dark stickers, I mean, what's not to like, right? In this case, I have a custom crew in this one too. We got Night Force Dial Tone and Night Force Fast Draw. And all I did was paint their off colors, like in his case, the green bits on him and then the red and blue bits on him, gray and black respectively. And now we have Night Force crew for the Night Wolf. So the reason why I did the wolf on top of that was because I had made more than I needed of that orange color. So then I also started my other minimalist project, which is the 2009 Snake Armor, which will also become a part of Night Force. And that's on the go as well. So there it is. Now we're also going to take a quick second and I'm going to bring out the Retro Line Stinger, just to show you some differences here. So if you haven't picked up one of these, then or haven't seen one of the bajillion reviews on YouTube, the short and dirty of it is it's a different plastic. It's made in Vietnam, not Hong Kong or China or Brazil or whatever. The colors are slightly different, more aligned with the modern, like the 25th anniversary or whatever it was. The gray along the fenders here is much lighter, as is the gray of the canvas cover for the cabin. and some other details are picked out in light gray. So the whole chassis itself is light gray. The wheels are black too. On this one, they're that super dark gray, but on the newer one, they're black. So this would lend itself well to Tiger Force painting, stuff like that, other customs. And we may do something in the future with this particular Stinger. So there you go. Other than that, it's fantastic. The plastic itself feels a little different too. It feels, there's a different texture to it. It's not to say that it's rough, but it's not the smooth that we're used to with the vintage line. But there it is. So just a quick one shot, right? We're calling this the minimalist approach, where all you do is you take a vehicle, change or add one color to it somewhere, and make something totally new. So this was a Stinger, like I said, that nobody wanted, and now it's a Night Force Stinger. This was a last minute idea of mine, so I can't show you stickers yet because I only ordered them while I started working on it. So this will get a second ultimate final reveal once I get the stickers in and laid on there. But you can imagine, based off of the the Night Wolf, that how this will look with those cool glow-in-the-dark Night Force stickers. So thanks for joining me on this one. To all my subscribers, once again, thank you very much, and please like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next video. So until then, be safe and have fun.